A fierce orange glow burst over the horizon as the forest awoke to an unimaginable fury. The flames advanced like a living beast, swallowing ancient pines and trembling underbrush in a torrent of heat and light. Amid the roar of the conflagration, a young bear, barely more than a cub yet determined beyond its years, found itself trapped in a nightmare of crackling timber and billowing smoke. The world it once knew, where gentle breezes whispered secrets among the trees and the stream's cool murmur soothed its playful heart, was suddenly transformed into a maelstrom of burning embers and suffocating heat. In those frantic moments, the air thick with acrid smoke and ash, the young bear's instincts surged with raw terror. Its small frame, still untested by the cruel hardships of nature, trembled as flames danced around every corner of its shattered sanctuary. The heat was relentless, and every inhaled breath stung like 1,000 tiny needles. Yet even as the inferno closed in, the bear's eyes, wide with desperation, gleamed with a spark of defiant hope. Somehow, in the chaos of the forest fire, nature had imbued it with a survival instinct that defied the overwhelming odds. Through a haze of burning branches and swirling embers, the bear staggered across a scarred clearing. The world had become a searing tapestry of orange and black, the sky obscured by choking clouds of smoke. Every step was a battle. Its paws sank into the charred remains of what once were soft beds of moss and leaf litter. The ground was treacherous, uneven and blistered by the intense heat that radiated from the smoldering remains of ancient trunks. Amid this devastation, the young bear's heart pounded with a singular purpose: to find shelter from the all-consuming blaze. Drawing on a primordial courage inherited from countless ancestors who had weathered nature's wrath, the bear sought refuge behind a stand of half-burned trees. The charred bark, blackened and brittle, offered scant protection from the searing heat, but it was enough to spur the bear onward. Every muscle in its lithe body strained as it darted through narrow corridors between felled trees, dodging falling sparks and leaping over smoldering debris. The chaos of the fire was maddening, a relentless barrage that threatened to close every exit. Yet in that crucible of terror, the bear's instincts honed a singular focus, a desperate need to survive. In the midst of the conflagration, when every moment brimmed with danger, the bear discovered a glimmer of possibility. Beyond the immediate circle of destruction, it caught a faint scent carried on a cooler draft, a trace of damp earth and unburned snow. With a strength born of sheer necessity, it veered away from the raging flames and plunged into a narrow ravine where the heat seemed to abate. The air here was heavy and still, the remnants of the inferno muffled by a natural barrier of rock and fallen timber. In this precarious refuge, the bear paused, trembling as it licked its singed fur and listened to the dying crackle of distant flames. The ravine offered little more than temporary sanctuary, yet it was here that the young bear began to realize the first glimmers of hope. As minutes turned to hours, the fury of the fire slowly subsided. Outside, the relentless roar of burning would soften into a mournful crackle, and the blaze's savage light dimmed to an eerie twilight, though the forest lay scarred and silent under a mantle of ash. Within that quiet desolation, the bear's survival had already been secured by its instinctive flight towards safety. In the cool, ashen air of the ravine, the bear discovered a shallow hollow nestled among boulders and sparse vegetation. The hollow, formed naturally by the slow erosion of rock and the protective embrace of overhanging cliffs, promised a modicum of shelter from both heat and the relentless fallout of embers. With cautious determination, the bear crept into the recesses of this fragile refuge. Its paws, calloused yet tender from youth, pressed into the soft, dark earth, while its wide eyes scanned the horizon for any further signs of danger. The forest fire had left a deep scar upon the land, but here in this hidden alcove, the promise of survival shone like a distant star. Within the safety of its new shelter, the bear trembled as exhaustion and relief intermingled. The heat of the fire still lingered on its fur, and the bitter tang of smoke clung to every breath. But the worst of the inferno was behind it. Slowly, the bear's frantic heartbeat began to settle into a steadier rhythm. In the silence of that charred sanctuary, nature's resilience revealed itself. The ravine's cool embrace offered a reprieve not only from the physical assault of the flames, but also from the existential terror of being consumed by a force so vast and untamable. For hours, the young bear remained in quiet vigil. It drank shallow puddles formed by melted snow and soot, the water cool and life-affirming in contrast to the bitter heat it had narrowly escaped. In its solitude, the bear's mind wandered through a tapestry of raw, unfiltered memories, a time when it played carefree beneath sunlit canopies, when the forest was a realm of gentle wonder and every rustle in the leaves heralded an adventure rather than a threat. Now, every sound was a reminder of loss and survival. Every waft of cool air carried whispers of hope amid the despair. As dusk crept over the scarred landscape, the bear emerged from its temporary haven. The world outside was unrecognizable, a vast expanse of smoldering ruins intermingled with pockets of untouched wilderness. In the distance, where the flames had subsided, the first gentle hints of night emerged, and with them came the promise of rescue. Somewhere beyond the blackened treetops and over the charred ground, human voices, urgent, compassionate, began to echo faintly. The bear, its body trembling not only from the residual chill but from a spark of cautious hope, sensed that help was on the horizon. Guided by the soft murmur of distant activity, the bear began a tentative journey toward a patch of forest where the air still held the faint aroma of fresh pine and earth, a sign that not all had been lost. Each step was measured and deliberate, its small form moving like a shadow amid the wreckage of what once was a vibrant ecosystem. The memory of the roaring fire was etched into every scorched branch and every ember that still glowed in the undergrowth. Yet the bear pressed onward. Its survival had been nothing short of miraculous, and now it was destined to be rescued, to be nurtured back to strength by those who cherished the wild and its creatures. In a clearing beyond the char and ash, light filtered in through gaps in the surviving canopy. The air was cooler here, fresher, carrying with it the soft murmur of human voices and the distant hum of vehicles. As the bear emerged, it was met by compassionate eyes and outstretched hands, the gentle touch of rescuers who marveled at its tenacity and the will to live. In that surreal moment, amid tears and quiet words of reassurance, the young bear was lifted from the harsh wilderness and carried toward the promise of care and healing. Its journey through fire, pain, and desperation had ended not in defeat but in rebirth, a testament to the unyielding power of nature and the miracles that can arise from even the most devastating calamities. Rescued from the charred remains of the blazing forest, the young bear was soon transported to a wildlife rehabilitation center, a place where soft voices, gentle hands, and quiet care replaced the chaos of flames and smoke. Within the sanctuary's humble walls, the bear's battered form was bathed in cool water and tenderly tended to by compassionate caregivers. Every touch served to cleanse away layers of soot and pain, while every soft word and quiet lullaby helped to soothe a spirit scarred by the fury of the inferno. In this safe haven, the bear experienced the miracle of healing for the first time since that catastrophic night, its raw wounds slowly closing as time and tenderness worked in concert. As days melted into weeks, the rehabilitation center became a cocoon of renewal. The bear's once singed fur, now carefully groomed, began to show hints of its natural luster, and its limping steps turned more confident with each passing day. The gentle murmur of rain on the roof, the distant calls of birds beyond the enclosure, and the tender ministrations of its caretakers slowly rebuilt not only its strength, but also its trust in a world that had once seemed so cruel. With every meal thoughtfully provided and every moment of quiet companionship, the bear rediscovered that life could bloom anew, even after the most devastating of fires. Outside the walls of the center, nature itself was reclaiming the scarred land. Blackened trees sprouted tender green shoots, and the charred earth, though forever marked by fire, began to soften as fresh rain mingled with the ashes. In the gentle interplay of renewal and recovery, the bear found both solace and a silent promise of rebirth. It watched, with a keen and grateful heart, as the forest transformed itself into a realm of fragile hope, where every rustle of new leaves and every glint of dew on fragile buds whispered of life emerging from despair. In time, the bear's rehabilitation progressed from cautious healing to active recovery. With skilled guidance, it was gradually reintroduced to a controlled, natural environment, a spacious reserve where the rhythms of the wild could be relearned. At first, the bear wandered under close supervision, tentatively exploring familiar scents and textures with a careful curiosity. The soft earth beneath its paws and the gentle rush of nearby streams were reminders that the world still held wonder beyond the memory of smoke and fire. Each small victory, the first unassisted step, the first playful tumble in fresh grass, was celebrated as a miraculous comeback. The journey back to true wilderness was not immediate. However, the bear's path to full recovery was a measured one, woven through days of patient learning and nights of quiet reflection. It relearned the art of foraging among the undergrowth, carefully avoiding the charred patches that still harbored dangerous memories. It listened intently to the whisper of the wind, the babble of streams that had cut through the scorched remnants of the forest, and the distant calls of wild kin that had not forgotten the old ways. With every cautious step, the bear reclaimed its identity, transforming from a fragile survivor of a raging inferno into a creature of resilience and renewed spirit. When the day finally came for its full release into the wild, the bear emerged into a transformed landscape, a forest slowly healing, where every blade of green, every droplet of fresh water, symbolized the indomitable power of nature's cycle. The memory of the fire, though ever present in the charred outlines of ancient trunks and the soft, lingering haze of smoke on the horizon, was now balanced by the vibrant pulse of life returning to the land. The bear's eyes, once wide with terror amidst the flames, now shone with a quiet determination as it set forth into its reclaimed home. In its early days of freedom, the bear moved with a tentative grace, its every step a measured negotiation between caution and instinct. The forest, still bearing the scars of its recent ordeal, now offered its own kind of beauty, a serene, even sacred, landscape where every whisper of the wind and every glint of sunlight filtering through the new canopy was a promise of survival and renewal. As the bear roamed beneath the gently swaying boughs, it remembered the inferno's merciless blaze and, with each passing moment, forged a deeper bond with the resilient wilderness around it. In the quiet solitude of twilight, when the forest exhaled a soft sigh of cooling air and the distant murmur of a recovering stream became a lullaby, the bear paused to reflect on its extraordinary journey. Each scar upon its fur, each measured footstep retraced in the soft earth, was a testament to the miraculous strength of life. Here, amid the burgeoning chorus of rebirth, the bear's story was no longer just one of survival through fire. It was a living narrative of hope, of transformation, and of the enduring promise that even in the face of overwhelming destruction, nature could and would begin again. Released once more into the wild, the bear began a cautious new chapter in a forest still marked by fire yet steadily healing. It roamed among trees whose charred trunks bore fresh green shoots and delicate buds, vivid symbols of nature's will to regenerate. Every step carried the weight of memories from the inferno, yet also the promise of renewal. The bear moved slowly along narrow paths where patches of ash and soft, damp earth intermingled. It paused beside small, clear streams where the gentle murmur of water mingled with the earthy scent of moss and new life. Each sip a reminder that even in devastation, hope can be found. As days passed, the recovering forest revealed its hidden marvels. Sunlight filtered through gaps in a once scorched canopy, creating pockets of warmth and illumination on the forest floor. The bear discovered groves where fallen branches, blackened by flame, now cradled tender ferns and wildflowers. In these moments, it felt the subtle pulse of a renewed wilderness. The scars on its fur, once a stark testament to the ferocity of the blaze, softened over time, merging with the vibrant spirit of its surroundings. The animal's cautious exploration was punctuated by brief encounters, a family of deer grazing quietly in a sunlit clearing, small foxes darting playfully among the undergrowth, and birds returning to sing amidst the reborn foliage. Each encounter reinforced the bear's sense of belonging and the forest's enduring promise. Yet the journey was not without its challenges. Even as nature strove to reclaim its beauty, occasional drifting embers and lingering patches of smoldering ground reminded the bear of the fire's devastation. In the distance, the muted rumble of human activity, chainsaws or distant vehicles, hinted at a world of civilization encroaching upon the wild. The bear, however, moved with a resolute calm. Every obstacle was met with instinct and the hard-earned wisdom of past ordeals. It deliberately retraced its steps in muddy depressions and over scuffed snow to confuse any potential trackers, leaving behind a trail of false leads, as if to declare its independence from the schemes of hunters and the hazards of a changed landscape. During quiet twilight hours, when the forest exhaled a gentle coolness and the hush of evening brought introspection, the bear would rest in secluded clearings. Beneath an ancient canopy, it would lie on beds of soft moss and fallen leaves, listening to the delicate symphony of chirping crickets and rustling branches. In those moments of calm, the bear's thoughts wandered to the intense, fiery chaos it had escaped, a past filled with roaring flames and desperate struggle. Now, amidst the tender regrowth and soft, promising light, its journey was transformed into a meditation on resilience and rebirth. Every footprint pressed into the recovering soil was a quiet declaration that life, however fragile, endures beyond catastrophe. Thus, as the forest continued its slow dance of recovery, the bear forged a new path, a narrative of healing, adaptation, and unyielding spirit. In every fresh bud, every ripple in a clear stream, and every cautious step through the reawakened wild, there lay a testament to the miracles of nature. The bear, once a symbol of desperate survival amid raging flames, now embodied hope and quiet strength. Its journey across a landscape still scarred by the past yet vibrant with the promise of tomorrow resonated as a powerful reminder. Even after the fiercest inferno, life always finds a way to rise from the ashes, released back into a forest that was still bearing the wounds of its fiery trial. The bear ventured into a transformed world, a realm where charred trees now cradled the first tender shoots of green, and where the ashen ground slowly softened under the gentle caress of rain and time. Each step it took was both a quiet tribute to the calamity it had endured and an expression of renewed hope. The forest, scarred yet resilient, whispered secrets of regeneration through the rustle of emerging leaves and the murmur of streams once again liberated from their icy bonds. In the early days of its return to the wild, the bear moved with a cautious grace, its every motion measured as it relearned the language of a land forever altered by fire. The memory of that scorching inferno was etched in the blackened bark of trees and in the lingering taste of smoke that clung to the air. Still, nature was unyielding in its promise of rebirth. The bear discovered clearings where new growth sprouted amid the remnants of burnt timber, and it found solace by shallow pools fed by melting snow, each droplet a symbol of life emerging from despair. On one misty morning, while traversing a narrow trail winding between regrowing ferns and scorched stumps, the bear came upon a rugged ridge that offered both a commanding view of the recovering forest and a measure of isolation from the disturbances of human activity. Here, the contrast was stark. On one side, the remnants of the devastating fire lay in silent testimony to nature's fury, while on the other, gentle tendrils of green and gold, new leaves, wildflowers, and tender saplings spoke of hope and renewal. The bear paused at the ridge's edge, its breath mingling with the cool morning air, and for a long moment, it simply stood in quiet contemplation. In that stillness, the bear seemed to absorb the story of the land itself, a tale of destruction giving way to regrowth, of endings that also heralded beginnings. But even as the forest healed, the challenges of survival were far from over. The bear's body, though slowly mending from its burns and the trauma of the flames, still bore the weight of its ordeal. Each muscle remembered the frantic rush away from the blaze, Every scar was a reminder of nature's merciless power. Hunger, ever the constant companion in the wilderness, tugged persistently at its belly. Now, with the forest on the mend, the bear sought to re-establish its place in the cycle of life. It began to explore familiar foraging grounds, those places where, before the fire, it had once feasted on fresh fish from winding streams or gathered succulent berries from sun-dappled thickets. As it moved through the regenerating forest, the bear encountered other survivors of the blaze. A family of deer grazed warily near a patch of new growth. Small birds flitted from branch to branch, singing tentative songs of joy as they rebuilt their nests among the broken limbs of ancient oaks. In these fleeting encounters, the bear found not only sustenance but also a silent camaraderie, the understanding that all creatures, great and small, were engaged in the same timeless struggle to rise anew. One day, while wandering near a river that had begun to reclaim its gentle flow after the tumult of the fire, the bear discovered a secluded glen where the water ran clear and cool over smooth stones. Here, the air was fresh with the scent of pine and wet earth, and delicate wildflowers peeked out from the soft, dark soil. The bear drank deeply from the river, each sip washing away remnants of soot and sorrow. In that moment of refreshment, it sensed the subtle rhythms of the forest, the steady pulse of water, the quiet rustle of grass in the breeze, and the distant, reassuring call of a returning songbird. These were the markers of a world that, despite its scars, was determined to continue its eternal dance of life. Yet the bear's journey was not solely one of gentle recovery. The renewed forest, though brimming with life, also stirred echoes of human influence. Occasional remnants of charred equipment, forgotten campsites, and even the faint odor of gasoline on wind-worn air reminded the bear that the specter of human interference still loomed. Determined not to fall prey to the traps and snares that had once threatened its very existence, the bear employed the same quiet ingenuity that had allowed it to outsmart hunters before. It retraced its own paths in convoluted loops, deliberately disturbing the soft earth in places to mask its trail and mislead any unwelcome followers. In the interplay between instinct and intellect, the bear found a renewed strength, a melding of raw power and subtle wisdom honed by its recent trials. On a chilly afternoon, as the sun began to dip low and cast elongated shadows over the forest floor, the bear encountered a narrow valley where the ruins of the fire were particularly evident. Here, the trees stood like silent sentinels with their charred limbs reaching upward in desperate supplication, and the ground was a patchwork of ashen scars and nascent green shoots. As the bear moved slowly through this valley, it paused frequently to inspect the land. With a measured, almost reverent care, it tested the soil with its massive paws, searching for pockets where life might still be nurtured. A hidden berry bush beneath a smoldering log, a cool pool in a natural depression, or a soft patch of earth where insects stirred beneath the surface. In each discovery, there was a small victory against the memory of devastation, a confirmation that even the worst of fires could not erase the indomitable will to live. During these solitary wanderings, the bear's thoughts often turned inward. In the quiet moments of solitude, beneath the murmuring canopy of a forest that was slowly reclaiming its beauty, it recalled the terror of those blazing hours. It remembered the searing heat, the relentless roar of flames, and the overwhelming sense of being caught in a force far greater than itself. Yet, intertwined with those memories were the images of survival, the desperate dash into a cool, shaded ravine, the instinctive leap behind charred trees, the miraculous discovery of a sheltered hollow where smoke and fire gave way to cool, healing air. Each recollection was both a wound and a badge, a reminder that from the depths of despair, a spark of life could still ignite a future. As night fell once again over the recovering forest, the bear sought shelter beneath a canopy of birch and pine. The stars, though hidden behind a veil of lingering smoke and the soft glow of distant fires, seemed to promise that the darkness would eventually yield to light. Curling up on a bed of damp leaves and soft moss, the bear allowed the gentle murmur of the forest, a symphony of nocturnal rustles, the soft gurgle of a nearby stream, and the distant call of a night bird to lull it into a restorative sleep. In that quiet respite, the bear's body began to mend, and the raw edges of its recent trauma softened under the tender, unyielding force of time and nature's grace. In these hours of slumber and introspection, the bear dreamed not of the inferno that had nearly claimed its life, but of a future where every new sunrise was a promise of renewal. It dreamed of vast, green meadows, of clear, cool rivers, and of forests unburdened by the weight of past destruction. A future where the wounds of the fire would be healed by the gentle persistence of nature. And when it awoke at dawn, the bear did so with a quiet resolve, ready to continue its journey in a world reborn. With renewed energy, the bear set forth at first light, its paws carrying it over a land that was as much a testament to loss as it was to hope. It moved with purpose, knowing that every step forward was an act of defiance against the forces that had once tried to end its life. The forest, though scarred by fire, was a living, breathing mosaic of resilience. And in that living tapestry, the bear found not only a means to survive but a path toward reclaiming its rightful place, a creature reborn from the ashes, forever a symbol of nature's enduring, miraculous capacity to heal. In the soft light of an early spring dawn, the bear emerged fully into a transformed world, a world scarred by fire yet pulsing with new life. The once devastated forest now wore a fragile mantle of green. Charred trunks bore delicate shoots of leaves and buds, and the air was imbued with the fresh scent of rain and renewed earth. Every step the bear took was a measured act of reclamation, a silent assertion that nature's cycle of destruction and rebirth was unstoppable. Its powerful paws pressed into the softened soil, leaving deliberate prints that would soon be washed away by gentle rains, as if to symbolize that the marks of past pain were gradually fading in the promise of tomorrow. Now a symbol of both hardship and resilience, the bear moved with a quiet dignity through the recovering woods. It roamed wide meadows where wildflowers dared to bloom amid patches of lingering ash, and it wandered alongside streams that had once been choked by smoke but now sang their clear, soothing melodies. In every corner of the forest, life had begun to stir anew, and the bear, once a fragile cub clinging desperately to survival amid raging flames, now embraced the wild with cautious confidence. Its eyes, once wide with terror in the inferno, shone with the tempered light of wisdom and hope as it surveyed a landscape reborn. During its solitary journeys, the bear encountered nature's quiet miracles. It paused by a crystal-clear brook where the sound of trickling water mingled with the rustling of emerging ferns. It watched, in its own way, as a family of deer grazed peacefully in a clearing, their tentative steps a counterpoint to the bear's purposeful stride. Each new encounter, each gentle murmur of life, was a reminder that the fire, however fierce, had not erased the indomitable spirit of the wilderness. Instead, the forest was healing, and with it, the bear found its own heart healing too. In moments of stillness beneath a canopy of ancient pines, the bear recalled the horrors of the blaze, the searing heat, the roar of flames, the acrid smoke that had choked its every breath. Those memories, painful as they were, had etched into its being a deep, unyielding resolve. They had taught it to move silently through danger, to study its surroundings with both instinct and intelligence, and to trust in its own ability to outsmart a world that could be as cruel as it was beautiful. Now, each step in the regenerating forest was not only a stride toward physical recovery but also an affirmation of the bear's new identity, a creature reborn from the ashes, carrying with it the wisdom of survival. As summer advanced slowly, the bear began to reclaim territory that had once been its playground. It found solace along the banks of rivers where the ice had melted into shimmering water, and it reveled in the bounty of seasonal fruits and tender grasses that emerged in the clearings. In these times of abundance, the bear's hunger abated, replaced by a growing inner strength that allowed it to move with a measured grace. Its scars, though still visible, became emblems of a past battle, a hard-fought testament to the power of endurance. With each new sunrise, the bear's body grew stronger, its stride more assured, as it embraced the rhythm of life that pulsed throughout the rejuvenated wilderness. Yet, even in this peaceful renewal, the specter of human presence lingered. Occasionally, the bear caught faint traces of machinery and distant voices carried on the wind, reminders that the boundaries between the wild and the civilized were ever shifting. But now, armed with the lessons of the past, the bear was no longer merely a victim of circumstance. It moved with a subtle intelligence, carefully concealing its tracks by retracing paths through muddy depressions and using the natural cover of dense undergrowth to hide its progress. In this artful evasion, the bear not only protected itself, but also reasserted its sovereignty over a land that belonged to nature and its resilient creatures. One crisp evening, as the sun dipped low behind a line of soft, rolling hills, the bear reached a high ridge that overlooked a vast expanse of recovering forest. Here, bathed in the gentle glow of twilight, the scene was almost surreal, a mosaic of dark, healing earth interspersed with bursts of vibrant green, all under a sky slowly transforming from deep blue to a canvas of pastel hues. The bear paused at the edge of the ridge, its heart filled with a quiet, triumphant joy. It remembered the chaos of the fire, the terror of nearly being consumed by flames, and the desperate ingenuity that had allowed it to escape. Now, standing on that ridge, the bear felt not only the weight of its struggles, but also the liberating lightness of survival. It was a moment of quiet reflection, a celebration of life that had risen from the ruins. In that reflective silence, the bear knew that its journey was far from over. The forest, despite its healing, was ever-changing, a living tapestry of challenges and opportunities. There would be new seasons, new tests of strength and wits, and the constant interplay between danger and beauty. But with each passing day, the bear grew more confident in its ability to navigate this unpredictable world. It had learned that even when engulfed by fire, the spark of life could persist. Even when all seemed lost, hope could kindle anew. As the final vestiges of daylight melted into the embrace of a starlit night, the bear began its slow, determined descent into the heart of the forest, a place where it would establish a new home among the whispering pines and babbling brooks. There, under the silent watch of countless unseen stars, the bear would continue to live, to roam, and to embody the eternal promise that nature, no matter how fierce the trial, always finds a way to heal and endure. In that final, stirring moment of the day, the bear lifted its majestic head as if in silent salute to the cosmos. Its journey, from a terrified cub caught in an inferno to a resilient survivor reclaiming its rightful place in a reborn wilderness, had forged a legend that would echo across the wild for generations. And though the scars of the past remained, they shone as proud badges of honor, marking the triumph of life over devastation, of hope over despair. In the soft glow of a new dawn, when the lingering embers of the past were finally yielding to the tender promise of renewal, the bear emerged into a transformed world. The forest, once ravaged by a merciless blaze, now shimmered with the quiet miracles of nature's healing. Charred trunks stood as solemn monuments to what had been lost. Yet from their blackened husks sprouted vibrant green shoots and delicate blossoms, a living tapestry of hope stitched into the scars of devastation. The bear, now marked by its ordeal yet imbued with a newfound strength, roamed with a measured grace across a landscape reborn. Its once frantic, trembling steps had given way to a deliberate and confident gait, as if every footprint left behind were an affirmation of survival and rebirth. Each scar on its weathered hide, each patch of fur softened by time and tender care, told a story of a battle fought against the fury of fire and the cruelty of fate, and ultimately, of a victory hard won. Moving along winding trails now bathed in the gentle light of early spring, the bear revisited the places where it had once sought shelter amid the inferno's roar. In the quiet hollows of a ravine and beneath the protective arch of ancient pines, it recalled the moments when desperate instinct had guided its claws to carve a sanctuary out of snow and earth. That ingenious snow cave, once its sole refuge against a relentless blaze, had become a symbol of nature's paradox, that the very element capable of obliterating life could also forge a cradle for renewal. Now, as the thawing snow yielded to soft, verdant ground and the murmurs of clear, trickling streams replaced the crackle of dying flames, the bear embraced its second chance. It ventured confidently toward wide meadows where wildflowers dared to bloom among patches of lingering ash, and through dense groves where the light danced playfully on dew-covered leaves. The forest, though forever altered by fire, pulsed with a resilient spirit, a quiet, persistent promise that life would always outlast even the most catastrophic events. There were still echoes of the past in every burnt branch and every trace of smoke that clung faintly to the air. Yet these relics no longer haunted the bear. Instead, they served as solemn reminders of the lessons it had learned, to read the subtle signs of danger, to leave behind false trails for those who might pursue it, and to trust in its own cunning when nature seemed poised to extinguish every spark of hope. With every measured stride, the bear reaffirmed its rightful place in the wilderness, a creature of formidable instinct and quiet wisdom, tempered by fire and nurtured by the relentless cycle of renewal. As daylight deepened into a soft, amber afternoon, the bear paused atop a gentle rise overlooking a vast expanse of recovering forest. From this elevated vantage, it could sense the intricate mosaic of regrowth below, patches of newly emerged green intermingled with the solemn grays of scorched earth, all bound together by the invisible threads of perseverance and hope. In that silent moment of introspection, the bear's heart swelled with a profound understanding that survival was not merely a contest of brute strength, but a delicate dance of adaptation and resilience, a lesson learned in the crucible of fire. Night eventually descended with quiet dignity, and under a velvet sky dusted with stars, though unseen by its weary eyes, the bear settled into a secluded glen. Here, in the gentle hush of twilight, the forest exhaled a collective sigh of relief. As if acknowledging the triumph of life over destruction, the bear curled up on a bed of soft moss and fallen leaves, its once frantic pulse now steady and deep. In that final, peaceful silence, it reflected on a journey that had begun amid chaos and terror, only to be transformed into a saga of quiet victory. The scars of the past, far from being marks of defeat, had become proud badges of honor, each one a testament to the indomitable will to live and to adapt. The bear, reborn from the ashes of a devastating forest fire, embodied the eternal promise of nature, that even when all seems lost in a conflagration of despair, life will rise, resilient and triumphant, to reclaim its place in the wild tapestry of existence. And so, as the gentle murmur of the night whispered across the recovering land and the distant song of a night bird filled the cool air, the bear drifted into a restorative sleep. Its journey, etched into every footprint on softened earth and every quiet breath beneath a starlit sky, had come full circle, a story of despair transformed into hope, of fiery chaos giving way to the tender pulse of renewal. In that serene final moment, the wild stood witness to a truth as old as time. Life, with all its fragility and fierce determination, will always find a way to endure.